Salut! This is a second video recording. This one will help you to tell time. So what we're going to do is we're going to start out first with the numbers 0 to 59 because you have to know them in order to tell time. Again, best practice with these videos is to pause, go back, listen, repeat as many times as you need. So we're going to start with the number 0 to 20. Répétez 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. If you're having trouble with these still, please pause the video, go back, and repeat them. Moving on to review 21 to 59. Répétez 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. With 30 through 59, we're only going to do up to 32, 42, 52. After that, you should realize that when we get to, for example, 33, it'll just be 30 and 3, 30 and 4, and so on. So again, répétez 30, 31, 32. Let's move on to 40. 40, 41, 42. And then 50. 50, 51, 52. It might be helpful for you to go through and do the numbers 33 to 39, 43 to 49, 53 to 59, just for some extra practice. So moving into time, what does time actually look like? In English, if I were going to write out 10:30 in the morning in a numeral form with the digits, what would it look like? So if you notice, we have the hour here, which is 10. We have the minutes over here, which is 30. Separating the two of them are those two dots. And then to make sure that we know it's the morning, we're going to put that AM next to it. In French, and those of you that were in class, you know, what would 10:30 look like in French? So in French, we have the hour over here. We have the minutes over here, just like we did above. However, look what separates the two of them. It's an H. That H stands for hour, and it sounds like air. Répétez, air. This time would be read like this. 10 heures 30. Try it one more time. 10 heures 30. If you notice here in our French time, we don't have a distinction between AM and PM like we do up here in English. Think about it. How would you think that the French are able to tell whether they're talking about the AM or the PM? And those of you in class already know, but take a second to think about it if you're not sure. So telling French time. First thing, French use a 24-hour clock, or what most people here in the United States would consider military time. So our clock, the way we tell time, we go from 1 to 12 and then start over again 1 to 12. They don't do that. They go from 0 to 24. On the clock, or using the 24-hour clock or the military time clock, again, they go from 0 to 24, with midnight being both 0 and 24. And that just depends on you whether you consider midnight to be the beginning of the day or the end of the day. And that could change daily, depending on your situation. So if you're still awake at midnight, that would still probably be considered the end of your day, so you might think it'd be 24. But let's say that you start your day at midnight for some reason, you might consider that 0 because it's the beginning of the day. Just depends on your preference. Now, converting times into military time. A lot of people find this tricky, but it's very easy. The easiest way to do this is to add 12 to any time after noon. So think about it this way. I gave you an example. 1 o'clock p.m. After noon, we go to 1 o'clock. They go over here. We took 1, we added 12 to it, and we got 13. So this one would be 13 heures. 13 heures. Now I gave another example. The example is 5 o'clock in the evening. How would they, or what time would 5 o'clock be in the 24-hour clock, or in military time? Exactly. It would be 17 heures. We took 5, we added 12 to it, we got 17 heures. Now let's say that you were given this time, this 17 heures, and you wanted to find out what time that would be here in America on our 12-hour clock. We would just do the opposite. We would subtract 12 from it and we would get 5. Same thing here, we'd subtract 12 from 13 and get 1. So telling time, a lot of people are still confused about how to tell time using an analog clock. So I'm going to break it down really easily for you. First things first. The small hand on a clock is going to be used for your hours. The large hand then would obviously be used for your minutes. So if I had a clock and the large hand was pointing at 2 and the small hand was pointing at the 4, it would be 2:20. When the large hand is anywhere after the 6, you're going to round the hour down. So what that means is, let's say that you have a clock where the large hand is on the 7, and we know the large hand is used for minutes, and the small hand is in between 3 and 4. We would round down to that 3 o'clock hour because it's not quite 4 o'clock yet, but it's getting there. So that time would be 3:35. I gave you 2 examples here of clocks. I want you to practice, see if you can get them correct. Here's the first one, and we'll do this one together. So here's the large hand, it's on the 10. Here's the small hand that's pointing towards the 2. The small hand is for the hour, the large hand is for the minute. But what was that special thing where the large hand was after the 6? What did we do? We're going to round down, so it's not quite 2:50, it's only 1:50. Perfect. And this would be 1:50. Let's say this was 1:50 in the afternoon. What time would this then become? It would become 13:50. Remember, we added the 12 to the 1. Here's one. Practice this one. Take a look at the small hand. It's pointing towards the 7. The long hand is pointing over here at 14. So this clock, the time would be 7:14. So here are the notes for the telling time. There's only 4. There are short phrases and things that you should already know. So the first one, répétez. Quelle heure est-il? Quelle heure est-il? And you've seen this throughout the presentation so far. This is, what time is it? To answer this question, something so simple that we've already used. Répétez. Il est. Il est. So if I came up to you and asked you, quelle heure est-il? You would answer me with il est and then a time. Il est 3:05. Il est 3:17. Next question we have. Répétez. Tu as à quelle heure? Tu as à quelle heure? We have our ellipsis dots here, so we know we're going to add something here. And this is asking, do you, or you have, at what time? So this would be used for our classes. If I wanted to find out if you had French at what time, I could ask, tu as français à quelle heure? And obviously we'd need to know the answer to this question. If I'm asking tu as, you have, I would want to start with I have, so that would be j'ai. And then we have our dots again, so that would be where our class would go. And then à, and then a time. So my question to you is, tu as français à quelle heure? Practice giving me your answer. So an answer to tu as français à quelle heure could be j'ai français à 12 heures. J'ai français à 12h15. If you're still having trouble, please go back, listen again, practice repeating.